The galaxy was quiet in this distant corner of space. Stars shimmered softly, and ancient ships drifted silently through the vast darkness. Among these stars floated the Venture, a sleek exploration vessel carrying a small crew on a mission that no one else dared to take. At the heart of their mission was a mysterious secret long hidden and forgotten. Mira stood by the ship's viewing window, watching the endless stars. She was the historian on board, a quiet woman with sharp eyes and a curious mind. She had spent her life studying old stories, lost civilizations, and strange signals from deep space. But nothing had prepared her for the strange data she had just discovered earlier that day. The ship's main computer had pulled up an encrypted file from an ancient archive. The file contained fragments of information about a species no one in the galaxy remembered. This species had crossed paths with humanity long ago, but every record of them was gone. It was as if they had never existed. Mira's heart raced as she examined the data. The species was not like the well-known aliens of the galaxy. Their technology was advanced, yet their culture seemed peaceful. The records hinted at a warning they had tried to send to humanity, but the message was incomplete, and its meaning was lost in time. What happened to them? Mira asked quietly. She turned to her friend and ship's engineer, Leon, who was busy repairing a small device. Leon looked up, wiping grease from her hands. "Nobody knows," she said. "The archives say they disappeared suddenly, wiped from history by some kind of order. It's strange that such an important message would be hidden." Mira nodded. "That is why we have to find out. If they tried to warn us, maybe there is something we must learn. Something still waiting." The Venture was not the first ship to search for clues about this lost species. Many had tried and failed. The galaxy had grown cautious, and most explorers stayed clear of the areas marked dangerous or unknown. But Mira and her crew were different. They believed the past held the key to the future. Captain Ryan stood in the command room, watching the star charts on the holographic display. He was a strong man with calm eyes and a steady voice. He trusted Mira's instincts. "We follow the trail," he said. "If the lost species left something behind, we will find it. But be careful. Not everyone wants the secret uncovered." The crew prepared for their journey into uncharted space. Supplies were loaded, engines checked, and sensors calibrated. The tension was high but quiet. Each member knew that this mission could change everything or end in silence. Mira spent hours in the ship's library, piecing together what little information she could find. The lost species was called the Kailari. They were said to have lived on a small planet near a star that no longer shone. The Kailari had powerful minds and a deep connection to the universe, but something had made them vanish. One record described a meeting between the Kailari and early humans. It spoke of an exchange of knowledge and hope. The Kailari warned humanity of a danger coming from the shadows of space, something powerful and destructive. But then the record ended abruptly. Mira touched the screen softly. Who erased them? She wondered. And why? That night, the ship passed through a quiet asteroid field. The stars outside blinked like distant fires. Mira could not sleep. She stood alone in the observation deck, feeling the weight of the past pressing on her. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a faint signal. It was weak and old, like a whisper lost in the wind. Mira's heart quickened. Could this be from the Kailari? Could it be the message they tried to send? She called the crew. Together, they traced the signal to a small, dark planet hidden in a forgotten system. The planet was cold and lifeless on the surface, but Mira felt a strange pull toward it. Captain Ryan gave the order, "Prepare for landing. We need to see what is there." As the Venture descended, the crew could see ruins scattered across the planet's plains. Broken towers and strange symbols marked the landscape. It was a silent graveyard of a lost civilization. Mira led the team out onto the surface. The air was thin and cold, but their suits kept them safe. They moved carefully, recording everything. The symbols glowed faintly under their lights, as if waiting to be understood again. In the center of the ruins, they found a large structure half buried in dust. It was a building unlike any they had seen before, smooth and curved, made of a metal that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Inside, the walls were covered with holographic images. Mira activated the system, and a flickering light filled the room. The images showed the Kalari, their faces calm and wise. They were teaching, sharing, and warning. One hologram showed a map of the galaxy, with lines tracing the path of a dark force moving slowly but surely toward the stars. The Kalari spoke in their language, but the computer translated it. The shadow approaches. Unite or fall. Mira felt a chill. This was the warning, the message the Kalari had tried to send. But why had no one listened? Why had this important truth been erased? Suddenly, the ship's alarm sounded. The Venture shook as an unknown ship appeared on the sensors. It was sleek and dark, and it moved quickly toward them. Hostiles, Ryan said. They do not want us here. The crew scrambled to defend themselves, but Mira's mind raced. She had to save the message, the truth. She copied the holograms into the ship's memory core. The enemy ship fired warning shots. The Venture launched away just in time, escaping the planet's surface. The dark ship followed for a moment, then turned away and vanished into the void. Back on the ship, Mira stared at the saved images. The Kalari's warning was real, and it was urgent. The lost species had crossed humanity's path for a reason. Now, Mira and her crew had to find out why and what it meant for the future of all. Someone tried to erase them from memory, Mira said quietly. But we will remember. We will not let this story die. Captain Ryan nodded. Then our mission is clear. We uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Mira looked out the window once more. The stars stretched endlessly before them, somewhere in that vast darkness. The secrets of the Kalari waited to be revealed, and the future of humanity depended on what they would discover next. After escaping the dark ship, the Venture moved deeper into uncharted space. Mira sat at the ship's table, studying the holographic images of the Kalari. Their warning about the shadow force filled her mind. What was this danger? Why had it been hidden for so long? She knew the answers would not be easy to find. Leon entered the room, carrying a small box of tools. I finished repairing the communication array, she said with a smile. We can try to send a signal, maybe reach out to other ships or stations that know about the Kalari. Mira nodded. We have to spread the message. If this shadow is real, others must prepare. Captain Ryan joined them, folding his arms. We also need more information. The clues we have are few. Our next step is to find the battlefield where the Kalari last fought. Maybe we will find more records there. The crew worked together, setting course for the system near the old star. The Venture glided through the black space, moving closer to the place where history had been erased. When they arrived, the planet below was scarred and silent. Craters and wreckage covered the surface. It was a graveyard for ships and soldiers long gone. Mira felt a heavy sadness. This was where the last stand had taken place. The crew landed near a broken tower. Mira and Leon stepped outside, scanning the area. Strange symbols were carved into the metal ruins. Some looked like warnings, others were maps of stars and galaxies. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up a faint energy source deep beneath the ground. Mira's eyes lit up. There is something hidden below, a shelter or a vault maybe. Captain Ryan nodded. Prepare for an expedition. We need to find out what is still here. The team descended into a long tunnel leading underground. The air was cool and still. Walls were lined with glowing panels covered in the Kalari's language. Mira tried to read the symbols, but many were unfamiliar. At the tunnel's end, they found a large chamber filled with old technology. Devices hummed quietly, powered by energy that had lasted for centuries. In the center was a pedestal holding a crystal-like object. Mira approached and touched the crystal. Images flooded her mind, stars burning out, fleets of ships falling into darkness, and a shadow moving across the galaxy like a storm. The Kalari's warning became clear. This shadow was a force that destroyed everything in its path. Leon scanned the chamber with a handheld device. These machines are advanced, beyond anything we have seen. The Kalari were preparing for a battle that never ended. Mira looked at the crystal again. They tried to warn us. They tried to save us. As the crew studied the chamber, the ship's alarms suddenly blared. A warning flashed on the screen. Another ship was approaching fast, not the same dark ship from before, but something different. Larger and more heavily armed. Captain Ryan ordered everyone back to the Venture. "This place is dangerous. We cannot stay." The enemy ship blocked their path, demanding that they leave the system immediately. But Mira refused to back down. "We have a right to the truth," she said firmly. "We will not leave until we understand what happened here." The enemy ship responded with threats. The crew prepared for a fight, but before battle began, a strange signal interrupted the communication. It was weak but clear. "This is the Resistance," a voice said. "We know about the Kalari and the Shadow Force. We want to help." Mira felt hope rise inside her. The Resistance was a secret group of explorers and scientists who fought to uncover lost knowledge. They had been watching the Venture's mission and wanted to join. Captain Ryan agreed to meet them. The Resistance ship docked with the Venture, and a small team came aboard. They shared maps, documents, and old stories about the Kalari and their battles. One of the Resistance leaders, a calm woman named Mara, explained. "The Shadow Force is real. It is called the Void. It destroys stars and planets, leaving only darkness. The Kalari fought it long ago, but they could not stop it alone. They wanted humanity to join them." Mira listened carefully. Why was this hidden? Why erase the Kalari from history? Mira's eyes grew dark. Because the Galactic Council feared panic. They wanted control and silence. They erased the truth to keep order. But the Void never stopped coming. The crew of the Venture felt the weight of this secret. They were no longer alone in their fight. Together with the Resistance, they planned their next move, to find the source of the Void and stop it. Before it reached human worlds, before leaving, Mira returned to the underground chamber. She looked at the crystal one last time and promised, "We will carry your message. We will face the shadow. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten." The Venture and the Resistance ship left the dark planet behind. Stars stretched out before them like a sea of light. But somewhere in the deep void, a shadow moved, waiting for the day it would strike again. Mira stood at the viewing window, feeling the stars on her face. The past had opened a door, and the future was full of danger and hope. The journey had only just begun. The Venture drifted through silent space as Mira replayed the Resistance's words in her mind. The Galactic Council's decision to erase the Kalari from memory was not just a mistake, but a deep secret. It was clear now that powerful forces wanted the past hidden, even if that meant risking the future. Captain Ryan gathered the crew in the command room. "We are not only chasing lost history," he said, "but facing an enemy that wants to stay hidden. The Galactic Council may be more involved than we thought." Mira nodded. If the Council erased the Kalari's story, they must have feared the truth about the Void. "We need to find proof." Leon studied the ship's sensors. The Resistance said there might be a secret archive on a dead planet near here. It could hold answers. The dead planet was cold and barren. Its surface was cracked, and no life stirred, yet hidden beneath. The surface lay secrets waiting to be uncovered. The crew prepared to explore what might be the key to everything. The journey to the planet was tense. The crew knew danger could come from anywhere. Communications remained quiet. No one knew who else watched from the shadows. When the Venture landed, a strange silence greeted them. The ground was rough, covered with ash and stone. Mira felt a chill as they entered an underground complex covered in dust and darkness. The air was stale, but the ship's lights revealed long corridors filled with signs of a once thriving knowledge center. Walls were lined with strange symbols and screens. Frozen in time, it felt like the Kalari's greatest secrets waited here, untouched for centuries. Mira touched a panel carefully. The screen flickered to life, showing star maps and records of battles fought long ago. Then the lights dimmed again. Leon worked quickly, restoring power to the complex. The crew uncovered holographic logs made by the Kalari. The logs spoke of a terrible choice. The Council had forced the Kalari to stay silent or disappear. The Kalari chose to erase themselves to protect humanity from panic and war. One message stood out. It was a warning. The The void is coming. Unite or fall. Mira felt the weight of those words as if the past was speaking directly to her. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. Sensors detected movement outside the complex. Mira's heart pounded. Someone was approaching, and they were not friendly. Outside, a squad of dark-armored soldiers appeared. They moved with precision and purpose, blocking the Venture's path. Their leader spoke through a translator. "You are not allowed here. Leave or face consequences." Captain Ryan stepped forward. "We are here for the truth. You cannot stop us." The soldiers advanced, weapons ready. The crew prepared for defense, but hoped for a chance to avoid fighting. Mira's voice was steady. "Why erase the Kalaris? Story, why hide the warning?" The leader's eyes were cold. "The Council controls history to protect peace. Too much truth leads to chaos." "But peace without truth is weakness," Mira replied. "We deserve to know what happened. We deserve to be ready." The tension grew thick like a storm ready to break. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the ground. The resistance arrived, attacking the soldiers with swift precision. The two forces clashed in the shadows of the dead planet. Amid the chaos, Mira and Leon slipped into the archive deeper underground. They found a room filled with data cores, memory devices holding the complete history of the Kalari and the Council's secret orders. Leon connected the cores to the ship's system. The data streamed in, revealing the Council's plan to rewrite history and silence anyone who opposed them. The erased species was not a mistake, but a deliberate erasure. Mira's voice was filled with resolve. "This proof will change everything." Meanwhile, the battle outside grew fiercer. The resistance fought bravely, buying time for the Venture's crew to finish their work. Captain Ryan led the defense, inspiring the team with calm courage. After a long struggle, the soldiers retreated. The resistance secured the area, and silence returned once more. Back inside, Mira looked at the recovered data. The full story was no longer hidden. The erased species, the warning, and the Council's lives were all revealed. "We have to share this with humanity," Mira said. "We cannot let fear keep us in the dark." Captain Ryan nodded. "This is only the beginning. The void is still out there. We must prepare." The Venture and the Resistance left the dead planet behind. The crew felt a new strength in their hearts. The shadows of erasure had been pushed back, and truth now shone like a distant star. Mira stood once again at the observation deck. The galaxy stretched before her, full of mysteries, dangers, and hope. The lost species had crossed humanity for a reason. Now, their story would live again, lighting the way for a brighter future. The Venture and the Resistance ship moved away from the dead planet. With the stolen archives safe inside their holds, Mira sat quietly in the ship's small lab, replaying the holographic records again and again. Each time she watched, she saw more pieces of the Kalari's story, their hopes, their fears, and the reason they had disappeared. "Do you really believe the void is coming?" Leon asked as she entered the lab. Her eyes were tired but filled with determination. Mira looked up. "I do. The Kalari fought it for centuries. They knew it was unstoppable if left alone. Their warning was meant to prepare humanity. We have no choice now but to listen." The crew gathered in the command room to plan their next steps. Captain Ryan stood by the star map, pointing to a system far from human space. "According to the archives, there's a place there, a hidden station, built by the Kalari. It holds technology that might help us fight the void." Mira nodded. "If we can find that station, we might learn how to protect ourselves." The Kalari left many secrets behind. The journey to the hidden station was long and dangerous. The stars around them seemed darker, as if hiding the threat that waited beyond the edges of the galaxy. The crew worked in silence, each lost in thought about what they might face when they arrived. The station was barely visible, hidden behind an asteroid belt. It was old, but still active. Strange lights flickered on its surface. Mira led a small team to board the station. Inside, they found vast halls filled with strange devices and glowing panels. The air smelled faintly of ozone, and metal. At the center of the station was a large chamber. In the middle stood a device that pulsed with energy. It was unlike anything the crew had ever seen. As Mira approached, the device began to hum softly. A holographic image of a Kalari elder appeared. His voice was calm but serious. "Welcome, seekers of truth," the elder said. "You have come far to find this place. Know that what you see here is a legacy of hope and sacrifice." The elder explained that the device was a shield generator. It could protect entire planets from the void's destructive force if powered. By the right energy, the Kalari had built it as their last hope. But the machine needs a rare element, the elder said. Without it, it cannot function. Mira looked at the glowing chamber. "Where can we find this element?" The elder's image flickered. "It exists in the heart of a dying star, in a system not far from here. But reaching it will be dangerous. The void's presence is strong there." The crew returned to the venture with a new mission. They would travel to the dying star and retrieve the element needed to activate the shield. The journey was filled with tension. The crew prepared for possible attacks from the void's forces. Everyone understood that failure could mean the end of many worlds. As they approached the dying star, the ship's sensors detected strange readings. The star was unstable, with bursts of energy and gravity waves. It was a dangerous place for any ship to enter. Captain Ryan gave orders. "Proceed with caution. This mission is critical." Mira and Leon worked closely to scan the star for the rare element. They found it inside a small asteroid orbiting close to the star. The element glowed with a blue light, almost alive. Landing on the asteroid was difficult. The gravity was weak, and the surface cracked under their feet. But the crew moved carefully, gathering samples. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the star's surface. The void was close. Its presence felt like cold darkness pressing on the ship. The Venture's alarm sounded again. Sensors showed a swarm of dark ships approaching fast. Captain Ryan ordered the crew to prepare for battle, defend the ship at all costs. The fight was fierce. The crew used every weapon and tactic to hold back the attackers. Mira stayed, focused on protecting the samples. The shield generator depended on this element. After a long struggle, the dark ships withdrew. The crew had survived, but only barely. Back on the Venture, Mira held the glowing element in her hands. It was fragile and precious. The future of humanity might depend on it. The crew set course back to the hidden station. They needed to power the shield and prepare for the void's arrival. As the ship traveled, Mira looked out at the stars. The past had led them here, but the future was still uncertain. "We carry the hope of the Kalari," she said softly. "We will not fail." The Venture sailed through the darkness of space, carrying the rare glowing element carefully stored in the ship's containment lab. The crew moved with purpose, knowing this fragile piece of the past held the key to their future. The hidden station waited ahead, silent and ancient, ready to be awakened. Mira stood by the observation window, watching the stars pass by. The weight of the mission pressed on her, but inside her burned a fire of hope. The Kalari had given their last chance, and she would not let it slip away. Captain Ryan gathered the crew in the main room. "We will activate the shield generator," he said. "If it works, it could protect entire worlds from the void. But this is only the beginning. The void is still out there, growing stronger." Leon checked the glowing element again. "We must be careful. The energy inside this element is powerful, but unstable. One wrong move and it could be lost." The Venture docked with the hidden station. The ancient doors opened with a slow hiss, revealing the inside full of strange machines and glowing panels. The crew moved quickly, guided by the knowledge from the archives. Mira approached the shield generator. It was a large structure, with arms reaching up like the branches of a giant tree. At its center was a hollow space where the glowing element would fit. With careful hands, Mira placed the element into the chamber. The station hummed softly as energy began to flow. Lights flickered on the panels, and a low vibration filled the air. Suddenly, a holographic map appeared. It showed a wide area of space, marked with stars and planets. A bright circle formed around a cluster of systems. This was the shield's range, the area it could protect. The crew cheered quietly, but Mira's eyes were serious. "This is only the beginning. We must strengthen the shield and expand its reach. As they worked to stabilize the shield, the ship's sensors detected something moving in the distance. It was a fleet of dark ships, faster and larger than before. The void was coming closer. Captain Ryan ordered the crew to prepare defenses. The battle ahead would test their courage and strength. The dark fleet appeared like a storm on the edge of the starfield. Their ships moved with deadly precision, firing beams of energy and missiles. The Venture and the Resistance ships stood firm. The shield generator sent out waves of protective energy, blocking some attacks, but not all. The crew fired back with all their weapons. Mira coordinated the shield's power, focusing energy on the areas under heaviest attack. She felt the machine respond to her touch. Almost alive and willing to fight, the battle raged for hours. The dark ships pressed harder, trying to break through the shield. The crew's hands moved quickly, repairing systems and firing weapons. Every moment was a struggle. Suddenly, the glowing element in the shield chamber pulsed brightly. A surge of energy spread through the station and out into space. The shield expanded, pushing back the enemy ships. The dark fleet faltered and then retreated. The crew cheered, but Mira knew this was only one battle in a much larger war. As the Venture repaired damage and recovered, Mira met with the Resistance leaders. They planned their next move, to unite more species and share the shield technology. Mira felt the weight of responsibility. The erased species had crossed paths with humanity for a reason. Their story was no longer lost, but a guide for survival. We must keep moving forward, Mira said. The void will return, but so will we. Together, the stars outside shone brightly, promising new journeys and battles ahead. The shield was awake, and so was humanity's hope. The Venture left the hidden station behind, its shield generator now a beacon of hope in the dark space. Mira sat at the ship's controls, her eyes scanning the endless stars ahead. The knowledge they had gained was powerful, but the void was still a threat that grew stronger every day. Captain Ryan stood beside her, speaking quietly. We need allies. The void will not wait if we want to protect our worlds. We must gather support from every corner of the galaxy. Mira nodded. The archives mention other species who once fought alongside the Kalari. If we can find them, maybe we can unite again. The Venture and the Resistance ships set course for the first of those distant worlds. It was a planet called Tyra, home to a species known for their strength and wisdom. The crew hoped to find help there. When they arrived, Tyra was a beautiful world filled with forests and rivers. The sky was bright, and the air smelled fresh. But the people were cautious, wary of outsiders. Mira and Captain Ryan met with Tyra's leaders. They told stories of the past, of the Kalari's fight against the void and the erased history. That kept many in the dark. The Tyrians listened carefully. Their leader, a tall figure named Varn, spoke with respect. We remember the Kalari. We have felt the growing darkness too. If you offer a way to fight, we will join. The alliance was made. The Tyrians shared their technology and warriors. The Venture's crew felt a new strength growing. Next, they traveled to a war world called Xena. The Xenians were skilled in science and healing. They welcomed the crew warmly and offered knowledge to improve the shield generator. Mira watched as Xenians worked alongside her team, combining science and technology in ways she had never imagined. The shield's power increased, its energy flowing stronger and farther. But as the fleet grew, so did the danger. The void sent more dark ships to scout and attack. The battles became harder, and the cost higher. During one fight near a small moon, Leon was injured. Mira stayed by her side, her worry clear. We will win this, Mira promised. For you, for everyone. Leon smiled weakly. Together, the Venture's crew grew closer with each challenge. They shared stories, hopes, and fears. The forgotten past had brought them together, and now their future was a shared fight. One night, Mira stood outside on the ship's deck, looking at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers, but also of friends and allies. She thought of the erased species, the Kalari, and their sacrifice. Their story was no longer lost. It was a light guiding them through the dark. The void was coming, but so was the strength of many. "We will face the storm," Mira said softly, "and we will not fall." The stars stretched out endlessly around the Venture as it sailed toward the heart of the void. The fleet was larger now, made up of many species united by a single goal to survive and protect the galaxy. Mira stood on the bridge, her eyes steady and strong. The story of the erased species was no longer forgotten. It had become a call to action. Captain Ryan spoke softly beside her. "This is it, the final battle. Everything we have worked for comes down to this moment." Mira nodded. "We carry the hope of many generations. We will face the darkness with light." The void was a shadow unlike any other. It moved through space like a living storm, consuming everything in its path. The ships of the fleet formed a circle around the Venture, ready to defend and fight. The shield generator, now powered by the rare element and improved by the Allies, began to hum with energy. Its light spread out, creating a barrier of shimmering force around the fleet. Suddenly, the void ships appeared, dark and terrible. Their shapes were strange, like twisted metal and smoke. They attacked with waves of energy and weapons that burned like fire. The battle was fierce. The fleet moved as one, firing back with all their strength. The shield held firm, blocking many attacks, but the enemy was relentless. Mira directed the shield's energy, pushing it to its limits. She could feel the power inside her hands, connection to the erased species, and their final gift. In the chaos, Captain Ryan led the fighters in bold attacks, breaking through enemy lines. The Allied ships followed, their weapons shining bright. The fight stretched across space for hours. The darkness pressed harder, but the light refused to fade. At one moment, the shield flickered and weakened. Panic threatened to rise, but Mira's voice was calm and clear. "Focus the energy. Trust the shield." The crew worked together, repairing systems and boosting power. Slowly, the shield grew stronger again, pushing the void's forces back. Finally, the enemy began to retreat. The fleet pursued, driving the darkness away from the galaxy. When the last dark ship disappeared, silence returned. The stars shone brightly once more. Mira looked around at her crew and allies. They were tired but alive. They had faced the storm and won. Captain Ryan smiled. "The erased species gave us a chance. We honored their sacrifice." Mira felt a deep peace. The past was no longer lost, and the future was theirs to build. As the fleet set course for home, Mira stood once again at the observation window. The galaxy was vast and full of light. "We crossed the stars and found hope," she whispered, "and now we will protect it forever."